When my wife and I had our first baby, we were the overly cautious, over-prepared type, baby-proofed everything. We read the blogs, installed the apps, bought the monitors. One of those monitors was a top-of-the-line video baby monitor with night vision, audio, and two-way talk. It even had motion and sound alerts. If anything moved or made a noise in the nursery, it would ping us immediately. We set it up the day we brought our daughter home from the hospital, and for the first few weeks, it gave us peace of mind, until it didn't. It started subtly. A notification at 3:12 a.m. Sound detected in nursery. I opened the app on my phone and watched. The night vision showed our daughter in her crib, still and asleep. No movement, no crying, just faint. Breathing. Not hers, it was slower, deeper, rhythmic, like an adult. I figured maybe the app glitched or picked up interference from somewhere else. But when I turned up the volume on the feed, there was whispering. Not lullabies, not talking, more like murmuring, like someone trying not to be heard. I jumped out of bed and went straight to the nursery. Nothing. Just my daughter sleeping peacefully in her crib. I checked the closet, under the crib, behind the curtains. Nobody. I assumed it must have been some tech fluke. Feedback or interference. Until it happened again the next night. Same time, 3:12 a.m., same alert. And this time, the voice was clearer. Shh. Go back to sleep. She's watching. I felt cold all over. I checked the feed. The crib looked normal. But the voice, it didn't belong to either of us. It was softer, unfamiliar, but definitely in the room. And then my daughter stirred, just a twitch, a half turn, and looked directly into the camera. She didn't cry, just stared into the lens, unblinking, like she was listening to someone else. I ran in again, swung the door open. Nothing. She was asleep. I unmounted the camera, reset the app, factory reset everything. But it didn't stop. The third night, my wife was the one who heard it. She shook me awake around 3 a.m., her phone in hand. It's happening again. We both stared at the screen. Our baby was asleep. But this time, there were two voices, almost like a conversation. But it wasn't language, more like tones, rhythms, as if whatever was in that room didn't know how to speak, but was trying to mimic us. That was the night we called the police. They searched the house from top to bottom. Nothing. No signs of forced entry. No devices. No signal spoofers. Nothing that could explain what we were hearing. But when the officers were packing up to leave, one of them, a younger guy, asked to see the camera. He fiddled with it, tapped the back, and looked confused. These things don't usually store audio locally, but there's something saved in the cache. He handed me his phone. He transferred the audio to a file. She's listening now. Don't say her name. I didn't sleep that night. We threw the monitor away the next morning. For the next week, we didn't hear anything. My wife thought maybe it really was interference. I started to believe it too, until I checked our baby book one afternoon, the one we used to track feedings, naps, milestones. There, on the page for first words, someone had written, "She listens best at 3:12. In handwriting that wasn't mine. Or my wife's. We moved 2 weeks later. We don't use baby monitors anymore. And we never figured out what or who was in that room. It started a few weeks after we moved into the new house. My daughter, Ellie, is 5. Imaginative, sweet, and Lately, just a little too quiet. We thought she was just adjusting. New neighborhood, new preschool, new bedroom. But it didn't take long before she started talking to someone in her room, someone we never saw. Her name is Lily. She lives in the closet. It was cute at first. Creepy, sure. The closet part especially. But little kids invent things. We played along, asked her about Lily, laughed when she said Lily didn't like spaghetti or only came out when the lights were off. But then things got weird. One night, I walked past Ellie's room and heard her whispering. I leaned closer. She was whispering into the closet. "No, I can't. Mommy said I'm not allowed." Pause. "Okay. But just this once?" I opened the door. Ellie spun around, startled. The closet was slightly ajar. "Lily wants to play hide and seek." I gently asked who Lily was again. She says she used to live here. Over the next few days, Ellie started behaving strangely. She wouldn't go near her closet during the day, but at night, she insisted it had to stay open. She started drawing pictures of a girl with long black hair and no face, dozens of them. Then one morning, I found the phrase, "Lily is real," scratched into her wooden dresser. She swore she didn't do it, said Lily did. "Lily told me you don't believe me. She said you'd try to make her go away." I tried to reason with her. I even showed her the closet was empty. I knelt down beside her, flashlight in hand, and crawled halfway in. Just coats and a few boxes. "See? Nothing but dust bunnies in here." Ellie didn't laugh. "She hides when you're around." That night, I left the closet closed. Ellie screamed for nearly an hour. Eventually, we gave in, left the door open, anything for some sleep. A week later, my wife found Ellie sleepwalking. But it wasn't just sleepwalking. She was talking, too. "Don't tell Daddy, he'll ruin everything." She was standing in the hallway outside our room, eyes wide open, but not there. The next morning, she had no memory of it. Then came the incident at preschool. Her teacher called us in, said Ellie had locked herself in the classroom supply closet. They found her hours later, curled up in a ball, whispering. She said they used to lock her up when she was bad. But I'm not bad. I'm good. That's when we realized we were way out of our depth. We called in a child therapist. She met with Ellie privately. When she came out, she looked pale. "Your daughter says Lily is a sad little girl who was punished for doing bad things, and now she can't leave. But she also said Lily told her that if she's really good, she can stay too." "Stay where?" "In the house." We started sleeping with Ellie in our bed. She would still wake up at 3 a.m. every night, staring at the ceiling. One night, she pointed at the vent above our heads. "That's how she watches us." I climbed up and checked. Just dust. Cobwebs. But I couldn't shake the feeling. That night, I left my phone recording audio in her room. When I listened back the next day, I heard this. "He doesn't know. He thinks you're pretending. But we know, right? We always know." I dropped the phone. That's when I started doing research. This house was built in the 90s. Nothing strange came up on Zillow or property records. But I found a local Facebook group for parents, searched for the address. A woman messaged me. She used to live in our house with her daughter. They moved out last year. I asked her why. She said they moved out because their daughter started talking to someone in the closet, and she still hears her voice in there, even after they left. I asked if the girl had a name. Yes, Lily. We started packing that night. Ellie didn't protest. She just sat on her bed and whispered. She says she's going to miss me. As we loaded the last of our things into the car, Ellie tugged on my sleeve. "Daddy, Lily said she's coming too." We didn't look back. But some nights, Ellie still insists on leaving space open. Like a door that's not there. She even lines up her stuffed animals just like she used to, facing the corner where a closet should be. We bought the baby monitor before our son was born, a fancy one, with infrared night vision, two-way audio, and even motion tracking. I'd read all the parent blogs, seen all the warnings. I wanted to be ready. Our son, Henry, had just turned 1. He'd finally started sleeping in his own room, which meant the monitor was on every night. My wife and I would usually peek in through the app just before going to bed, just to watch him breathe for a moment. Because that's what parents do. But one night, the app glitched. At first, I thought the feed had frozen. The image was still, grainy, and weirdly overexposed. Then it started to pan. Slowly, deliberately. Our monitor only tracks movement. It doesn't move on its own unless something is in the room. But Henry wasn't moving. He was completely still in his crib. So what was it following? I sat up in bed and nudged my wife. "Look at this," I whispered, holding out my phone. She blinked at the screen. "Why is it moving like that?" "I don't know," I said. "He's not even stirring." The camera finished its arc facing the bedroom door, which was slightly ajar, and then slowly panned back to Henry. That's when we heard it. A faint whisper through the monitor's speaker. We couldn't make out the words, but it wasn't Henry. It was too low, too deliberate. I jumped out of bed and ran down the hall. When I opened the door to his room, it was completely still. Henry was asleep. The monitor camera stopped moving the moment I stepped inside. Nothing else happened that night, but we couldn't stop thinking about it. The next day, I checked the app history. It didn't record any unusual movement. The footage from the night before had corrupted. No playback. I reached out to the manufacturer. They claim there's no way the camera could pan on its own unless there's motion in the room. They suggested maybe a pet had triggered it. We don't have pets. I let it go for a few days. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe I was just overtired and imagining things, but 3 nights later, it happened again. Around 2:11 a.m., the camera panned to the corner of the room and stayed there for nearly a full minute. Nothing was visible. Then we heard the whisper again. This time, it was louder, still distorted. But it said something like, "I see you." I didn't go into the room that time. I was too afraid. Henry didn't wake up, just lay there, calm as ever. My wife started insisting we throw the monitor out. But I wanted to figure it out. I needed to know we weren't crazy. So I set up a second, hidden camera in Henry's room, one that wasn't connected to Wi-Fi. That night, everything changed. Around the same time as before, just after 2 a.m., I was watching the live feed. Nothing unusual for a while. Then, out of nowhere, the baby monitor began tracking movement again. But this time, it didn't stop. It spun to the left, then the right. It tilted slightly up, then down. And then, it pointed directly at the closet door. The closet creaked open a few inches. My wife gasped behind me. We both stared at the screen, barely breathing. Then we heard it. On the monitor's audio feed, 3 quick knocks. Knock, knock, knock. I ran to Henry's room and burst in. Everything was still. The closet was closed. Henry was sleeping soundly. I picked him up and took him into our room. He slept in our bed after that. The next morning, I checked the hidden camera footage. Nothing. The angle didn't catch the closet or the monitor's movements. But something new happened later that day. My wife was changing Henry's diaper when he suddenly looked over her shoulder and pointed at the empty hallway. "Who's that?" he said. Who's who? She asked, glancing behind her. He didn't answer. That night, he kept waking up crying. When we asked him what was wrong, he said, "Man in the corner." We never saw anything. Not on the monitor, not in person. But every time we tried putting him back in his room, he screamed. We gave up. We turned his old nursery into storage and moved his crib into our room. A month passed. The baby monitor stayed off. Then, one evening, while I was cleaning up files on my phone, I noticed something strange. The app had quietly stored some corrupted image files, photos captured from the video feed. They were all black, or so I thought. But when I adjusted the brightness and contrast on one, something emerged. A figure, standing in the corner of the room, barely visible, just a faint silhouette. But the eyes, two pale dots, reflecting the infrared light, looking directly at the camera. We moved out 2 weeks later. I still have that image, and sometimes I still wonder, if the monitor hadn't glitched, would we have ever known? Or would it have just kept watching?